Welcome, folks. Such an honor and a privilege to be a part of this amazing mindfulness and compassion week. I'm excited to connect, excited to be with you, excited to have the opportunity to share some thoughts and ideas that might inspire you in some way, shape, or form to share more of your gifts with the world and to be even more mindful and compassionate with yourself and those around you. Today, my topic is we're going to be talking about the magic of surrender. That is the magic of surrender, inspired by my new book. You know, we're living in some intense times right now on planet Earth. We're living in some challenging times on planet Earth. 2020, I think in many ways, forced us to wake up, forced us to go inside, forced us into I would say, evolutionary awakening and quickening like never before. Old systems collapsing, old ways of doing things collapsing, old relationship models collapsing, all those places that we may have held on to for a sense of identity, for a sense of safety, for a sense of security. As that is taken away, as that is ripped out from under us, as that is shaken, that sense of stability that you may have held on to in the world, as that is shaken and questioned, it forces you to go inside and access a source of inner stability, of inner freedom. It forces you to go inside and really ask yourself the question, who am I really, truly? Who am I authentically? And so I think this is such a powerful time to be alive. We've had the Industrial Revolution, but I believe we've been in the midst of a technological revolution. But I really believe that more than ever right now, you and I are in the midst of perhaps the greatest spiritual revolution that the world has ever seen, the greatest awakening on the planet the world has ever seen. And somehow you and I have been born. Your soul has incarnated at this particular moment in human history for a reason. I want you to just begin by surrendering, as challenging as these times are, as difficult, as intense as these times are. We're in a crisis moment on planet Earth. I'd love for you to consider the possibility of surrendering to the fact that your soul has incarnated at this particular time in human history for a reason, that you have won the cosmic lottery ticket to be alive right now, to participate in the awakening, to participate in the evolution, to participate in the process of the universe waking up to itself. There's a reason that you incarnated in this moment. There's a reason you were born in this moment in time, to not just be a bystander on the sidelines of this human evolutionary process, but for us to all roll our sleeves up to be a part of the awakening that's happening. And so the invitation is to surrender to that and consider that more than ever, as we are faced with the crises on planet Earth, climate change, pandemics, etc., that the world needs your gifts. The world needs your purpose. The world needs your mission. The world needs you even more than before to show up, to love, to serve, to be mindful, to be compassionate, to share your gifts with the planet. Are you giving your gifts fully? Are you truly living what you were destined, what you incarnated to live and express on planet Earth? Every problem, every challenge, every difficulty, the difficulties we see on planet Earth, I believe, are really an invitation for you to love more deeply, an invitation to practice compassion even more deeply. All of the pain on the planet, all of the suffering on the planet, all of the difficulties on the planet, we can look at them and judge. All the divisiveness that seems to be happening on our planet, we can look at it and judge. But I believe it's a call for compassion, an opportunity to access compassion. And so the world needs you now. the dreams that you have, the dreams that you feel, the willingness to surrender to it. I believe that your dream, this impulse of life that is seeking to express through you, this impulse of energy that is from your soul that is seeking to manifest through you, this desire, this intention, this goal, your dream chose you. Your dream chose you for a reason. This dream, this impulse, this desire that you feel deep in your heart, it chose you for a reason, because on some level, you are the perfect person to fulfill the dream, to fulfill the vision, to fulfill that purpose. Everything you've been through, everything you've experienced, every pain, every hurt, every trauma, every wound, every failure, every success, every breakdown, every breakup, everything you've been through has somehow perfectly prepared you. The universe has been preparing you to develop the mental, the emotional, the physical, the spiritual, soul, force, muscle, so that you can be the one that life can use as a vehicle to express through. There comes a moment in life when the life that you have created for yourself is in fact too small for what your soul is seeking to become. There comes a moment when the next level of your life requires the next level of you, which requires that you let go. You let go of what's not aligned. You let go of what no longer works. You let go of relationships, situations, ways of being, patterns, addictions that you know is really not aligned with what your soul is seeking to express. In those moments, when we're faced with that choice to hold on or to let go, what we tend to do as human beings is we tend to hold on to the familiar. We tend to hold on to the known. We tend to hold on to what's safe. We tend to hold on to what's comfortable out of security. But holding on to that which doesn't work, holding on to that which is not aligned, it simply reflects our lack of trust in the universe, but also is part of what blocks our blessing. It's when we surrender and when we let go that we clear the space in our life to receive the next level of opportunity, of possibility, of relationship, of love. And so as you reflect on the next level of your life, as you reflect on this moment, as you reflect during Compassion Week, what is it that you need to release? What is it that you need to let go of? What is it that you need to surrender in your life? Maybe it's a relationship that you know deep down is not aligned. Maybe you've been in a relationship for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 3 years, 5 years, however long it's been, but perhaps deep in your heart, you know that something is not aligned and it's causing you stress. It's causing you distress. It's causing you angst. Maybe you're working a job that you know this is not the reason and the purpose for why you were born, and there's a bigger reason and a bigger purpose for why you were put on this planet. And perhaps you haven't been listening. You haven't been surrendering to the calling in your soul. What is it you need to surrender? Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a way of being. What is it you need to let go of? What is no longer working? If you want more magic in your life, and when I say magic, I'm not talking about hocus pocus. When I say magic, I'm not talking about woo-woo. When I say magic, and you can define what magic means for you, when I say magic, I'm talking about that which is the next level, that which is beyond what you can even imagine for yourself, beyond a sense of infinite possibilities, more joy, more abundance, more love. If you want more magic in your life, you must surrender. And surrender is the password for freedom. Surrender is the key to the next level. Surrender is the key that unlocks the next level of your life. Surrender to me is the secret to the great ones. When you look at Jesus, when you look at Buddha, when you look at Mother Teresa, when you look at Gandhi, when you look at Martin Luther King, when you look at Bruce Lee, when you look at Muhammad Ali, when you look at Martin Luther King, when you look at Mandela, when you look at JFK, even folks like Elon Musk, at some point, they all had to surrender. They all got to a point in their lives where they had to surrender themselves to something bigger than themselves. They had to surrender their own vision to something that was beyond them. So when we talk about surrender, what is it you need to surrender in your life? What is it that you're holding on to that is perhaps preventing you from going to that next level of impact, that next level of expression, the next level of your spiritual evolution, that next level of authenticity? The next level of your life will require the next level of you. But we tend to hold on out of fear. See, surrender, somehow in our culture, we have this idea, this misconception that to surrender is weak, that to surrender is passive, that to surrender means you're going to be taken advantage of, that surrender is laziness, that surrender means you have to sell everything, move to India, so that you're going to be homeless, that you're going to be broke, that to surrender is not necessarily a positive thing, it is a passive thing. But I'm actually saying that if you surrender, you're going to somehow get less in your life. And so there's been this misconception, misunderstanding, and this idea that doesn't make us want to surrender as human beings. Like, it's painful. I actually feel it's more painful to hold on to things that aren't aligned. It's more painful to live a life that is a lie. It's more painful to live holding back your light, holding back your light. It is more painful to hold on. So if you're really honest with yourself, what is it you need to surrender? So what is surrender? To surrender really means simply to let go of trying to control everything, to let go of trying to force life to be what you think it should be, to let go of trying to fit life and manipulate life to fit into the idea, the preconceived idea of how you think life should be unfolding, how you think relationships should be unfolding. To surrender is to let that go. To surrender is to take the conditions off of life, to stop negotiating with life. To surrender is to give up the idea of who you think you should be, to give up the idea of the life that you think and project that you should be living. Because many times we're attached to the idea of the life that we think we should be living, and we end up missing the life that is here right now. And so giving up the idea of the life you think you should be living so that you can be truly available and open to the authentic nature, to the authentic life that is actually seeking to be revealed, seeking to unfold in your experience now. To surrender is to let go. To surrender is to be open to the universe, to be open to life, to be open to allowing life to reveal itself to you, to allow life to show itself to you, to be truly open. When you let go of the idea of how you think things should be and what you think things should and how you think things should look like, and you're truly open and available, then you don't put any limits on life. Then you're fully open and available to the miracles and the magic and the beauty and the grace of life unfolding in ways that you cannot imagine. You're available to infinite possibilities. What life can do through you, what life can unfold through you, I believe, and I've seen, is way more than you can do of your own self. See, the old paradigm of how we've tended to live, how we've been conditioned to live, even in sort of self-help world, what we've been told to live is you've got to know what you want. You've got to make it happen. You've got to crush it. You got to create your own reality. And so we have this old ego-based manifestation model, old ego-based way of creating, of control. As human beings, we try to control everything, don't we? Control is the master addiction. Take a look at your relationship with control. We try to control our thoughts. Even in meditation, we're constantly trying to control our thoughts, trying to manipulate our thoughts, have no thoughts, get rid of our thoughts. Even in meditation, look at the experience of trying to control your thoughts. It often makes you less peaceful. We try to force our thoughts to be a certain way. True compassion is creating the space to allow ourselves to be where we're at with moment to moment awareness. So as human beings, we're constantly trying to control ourselves. We try to control our thoughts in meditation. We try to control God in prayer. God, please do this, do that, do this, becomes a negotiation. We try to control our bodies to exercise. We try to control what we eat. We try to control our children. We try to control our spouse, our boyfriend, girlfriend, husband. We try to control the weather. We try to control how we're perceived on social media. We try to control our pet goldfish. We try to control so many things. But if we really look at our lives, how often does controlling and living in that paradigm of controlling and imposing your sense of egoic will on life, how often does that bring you real freedom? How often has that brought you true bliss, joy, peace? Never. How often does that really work? How has that been working for us as human beings? Really not that great. Often leads to stress, to burnout, to frustration, dissatisfaction, exhaustion. Control is the master addiction. Take a look at what you're trying to control, all the things you're trying to control. Be mindful about all the things you're trying to control, most of which you actually can't control. We can't control so many things as human beings. In so many ways, the old ego-based model of control, trying to impose our will on life to make life be a certain way that we think it should be. And now, based on our idea, based on our ego, based on our minds, we project our will and intent on life. We have certain goals. We set certain goals. We try to achieve certain goals, stressing ourselves out to achieve certain goals. But have you ever had an experience where you achieve what you thought you wanted to achieve? You achieved that goal, you achieved that dream, you got that car, you got that house, you got that relationship, and you achieved that goal. It was everything that you thought you wanted. But once you actually achieved it, you were still dissatisfied. Once you actually achieved it, you weren't happy. Sometimes it's even worse getting what you thought you wanted, because even when you don't have it, you're in the pursuit of it. So there's always a sense of hope that once you get it, you're going to be happy. Still an illusion. But when you actually achieve it and you're still not fulfilled or happy, or you're left with that feeling of dissatisfaction, it can be worse, because now what do? And so if you've ever had that experience of achieving what you thought you wanted, to be left dissatisfied, right? Because see, what we don't realize is many times what we thought we wanted and the goals that we set, what we thought we wanted, is not really what we deeply, authentically wanted. It was just what we thought we wanted based on who we thought we were. And if we're not aware from this old paradigm that I've been talking about, what do I want? That's the question we're conditioned to ask in this old ego-based model. What do I want? The perceived sense of I that is in and of itself conditioned. From that place, our goals can be a projection from the past pain, past conditioning, past wounds. Maybe mom wasn't around, dad wasn't around. As children, we felt unworthy, we felt unlovable, we felt disconnected, we felt insecure. So there's a projection from that sense of identity of who we think we are, that if I can, so our goals become a projection. So if I can achieve that car, achieve that fame, achieve that success, get a certain kind of body, get a certain this, get a certain that, get that house, have X amount in the bank, then I'm going to finally find peace. Then I'm going to finally find happiness. Then I'm going to finally, and so we're seeking for something in the world that we will never find. Even if we achieve it, what we're really seeking is not what we're really seeking. Then our goals become a limited projection. And this is what we mainly chase. So we're chasing from a place of what do I want. But we don't question what is I. We don't question who is this I. We don't question what is this I. We're not aware or mindful of what is the I that wants, and what is making up and driving the I that wants. Who am I really? And so from a misconception of identity, a misconception of I, believing our thoughts, the ego is that collection of thoughts and emotions and memories from the past that we then hold onto and identify as me. When that's living our life, there's no peace. We end up living a limited life. To truly surrender begins when you start questioning, who am I really? And then to truly surrender is to really open to an unlimited life. An unlimited life. What would an unlimited life look like? This is a question. The mind's ability to conceive what an unlimited life would look like, a life not limited by ego, identity, mind, or mind, is beyond what we can imagine. So the question I'm inviting you to be aware of, be mindful of, to consider is not what do I want, but in the paradigm of surrender, how do you live surrender in your life? How do you live surrender moment to moment? Is to ask yourself the question, what is it? It's a different question. What is it that life is seeking to express through me? How is it that life is seeking to manifest through me? What is it that life is seeking to create through me, write through me, move through me, dance through me, live through me? What is the deepest impulse of life that is seeking to express through me, in me, as me, through me, and to feel and attune to that? Part of the gift of being in stillness and meditation is to create the space to be still, to feel the deepest, most authentic impulse of what life is seeking to express through you. When you can feel what truly life is seeking to express to you, not what you think life should, not what you think life should be or how you think life should be expressing, but what truly is moving, you will feel a movement. You will feel a deeper movement from within you. You will feel the energy of the ocean of your being moving in a direction. Then your job or the art becomes to align your mind, your body, your ego, your intentions around the energy and the movement of your mind. Then you are surrendering to the flow, the authentic flow of your being, the authentic flow of your soul's impulse. When you are truly aligned in the flow, you are working in harmony with nature. And when you're working in harmony with nature, then the forces of nature, the laws of nature rise to support you as a way for nature, life, this intelligence to fulfill itself through you. In that moment, you surrender. You surrender to life. You surrender to the flow. You surrender to being lived. When you surrender to being lived, that's when the magic happens. That's when you tap into an unlimited domain, an unlimited way of being, an unlimited possibility for your existence, because it's no longer you as a limited me, John, Jim, Susie, Kute, identity, ego living. That's when life starts to live you. That's when life gets interesting. That's when miracles happen. That's when things start happening that you could not even have imagined with your mind. You could not have even wrote in your journal or put on a vision on a goal board. It's no longer goal setting, it's soul setting. Just made that up. It's soul setting, you see. You're tuning into your soul, allowing your soul to set the course, and you're aligning your mind and your human ego self around your soul. Then what life can do through you is more than you can imagine. Then you tap into an infinite possibility, an infinite domain, an infinite dimension of living and manifesting. Because in that moment, you're surrendering yourself to yourself. You're surrendering your small self to your real self, to the self. And from that paradigm, from that way of living, the force of life starts flowing through you, because you, I, small I, is no longer in the way. Because you're no longer in the way, life can flow. Wasn't it Jesus who was an example of possibility when Jesus performed the miracles? See, the ego, the I, the sense of I, wants to constantly be in control of everything. It wants to control everything. You know, if 2020 taught us anything, it taught us that we aren't in control of anything, really, very little. We had all of these great plans. Boom, universe saying, okay, people, really, you're in control? Try this. We were thrown into a global meditation, a global mindfulness process, a global surrender experience. Ego is this sense of identity, perceived sense of self, constantly trying to control as a way to reinforce its existence. It wants to be the one that does everything, wants to be the one that pushes everything. It wants to be the one that makes everything happen. Because this egoic identity is afraid. The sense of who we think we are, that we're not afraid. What happens when I let go of control? It's part of why surrender is sometimes so difficult. What happens when I let go of control? Will I, small I, will I exist? What will I be if I'm not always in control, running life, creating drama, forcing, pushing, making shit happen? So surrender becomes a sort of death, a letting go. So the ego, our sense of identity, is constantly resisting surrender. So we are now living our lives. We are living as the doer. We are the doer. When you truly surrender at the highest level, when you really surrender, real deep surrender, you move into a zone where you realize that you are not the doer. It's life that is doing through you. It's life that is doing and moving and manifesting through you. This is the magic zone. This is the miracle zone. This is the Jesus zone. This is the Mandela zone. This is the Gandhi zone. This is the Mother Teresa zone. Jesus was the one performing the miracles, right? Jesus performed the miracles, the 5,000 people, the blind seeing, the deaf hearing, the sick, the dead reviving. But then not once did Jesus say, hey, folks, look at me. I'm the great Jesus. Not once did Jesus say, look at all these miracles I did. Not once did Jesus say, look how great I am. Here was the secret. The secret to Jesus was his surrender. What do I mean? I'm going to botch this quote. Forgive me for misquoting, but it went something like this. Jesus would say, it's not I that does the work, the miracles. It's not I that does the work, but it is the Father that does the work through me. In other words, I'm not the doer. It's the Father, or whatever label you choose to put on it for yourself. The Father, the Mother, the great Goddess, the infinite intelligence, pure consciousness, being, life does the work through you. Then you tap into true, infinite, pure potential possibilities. This is the magic. Your dreams don't belong to you, they belong to life. You are simply the vessel for which life will use to express through. When you really get that and you surrender to life, you truly surrender to this existence of life that has been around for billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of years. Life starts manifesting through you itself in magical and amazing, profound ways. Ego is afraid. Well, if I don't make things happen, if I don't control, if I don't do it, if I don't force it, if I don't, then how will anything get done? This is the fear of the ego. But the reality of life is something different. What can get done is more. So I'm saying, what if through surrender, you didn't get less? What if through surrender, you didn't get less? What if through surrender, you actually got more, achieved more, created more, impacted more, loved more? Look at Mother Teresa, a small little woman with no money, moved the world. Life moved through her and used her because she was not in the way. Folks, it's time to get out of the way and now allow life to move, allow life to unfold. So what is it that you need to surrender in yourself? What is that you need to surrender in your life? What is it that you need to let go of that is no longer aligned? Someone was asking me the other day, how do I trust life? How do I trust life? How do I trust life? I looked at them and I said, how do you actually not trust life? He looked at me like, what? How do you trust life? How do you not trust life? If you look at life, to me, all of life on some level is proof that we can trust every day. Right now, as you've been listening to this conversation, you've been breathing hundreds of breaths, thousands of breaths happening inside of you. Are you forcing your breath? Are you doing some special breathing technique? Like breathe, breathe, breathe. It's just happening. It's unfolding naturally. You can be aware of it, can bring mindfulness to it, but it's just happening in spite of you. You're being breathed by life. Trillions and trillions and trillions of cells, trillions of processes happening inside of your body right now without your conscious intentionality. You had breakfast this morning or dinner or lunch, and how is it that your hand, you ate some rice and your hand doesn't turn into rice? There's an intelligence inside that knows what to do and how to process and how to digest. It's happening. The sun rises, the moon shines, the rivers, the animals. To me, the same intelligence that functions you and breathes you is the same intelligence that functions all of existence. How can we not trust? What would happen if we really surrendered to life? It's so funny because sometimes I think we as a species, we trust Siri, Siri, S-I-R-I, Siri, our dear friend Siri on our phones. We trust Siri more than we trust life. We trust Siri more than we trust our soul. Hey, Siri, tell me about blah, blah, blah. Tell me where to go. Siri says turn left, we turn left. Siri says turn right, we turn right. We don't question Siri. I've never seen anyone say, Siri, are you sure about that? Do you really know where you're going? Do you really know? We don't question. But the moment your soul says, our soul says, hey, write that book. The moment our soul says, you know what, this is what you were born to do. Well, me? Why? Are you sure? I don't know. Can I really do it? I don't have enough education. What qualifies me? So-and-so's do it. The Dalai Lama's doing it. That person's doing it. Can I? We trust Siri more than we trust our soul. What if we truly surrender to this innate intelligence inside of us? You cut your finger, something inside knows how to heal. It knows. Yet you and I, as human beings, we've forgotten that we too are a part of nature. We are a part of nature. So each day, tune into your body. Just tune in, Tune into your body every day. Observe your breath. What is it that's breathing me? Something. It's not a microchip, something is breathing me. Become intimate with that. Feel that. It's intelligence, consciousness, life force, energy, whatever label, I don't care, but something's breathing you. Feel that. Trust that. It's happening. Tune into your body daily. Be in nature daily. Observe nature. Was there ever a day when the sun didn't rise? You came out 12 midday. It's pitch black. No sun. What happened to the sun, Kute? It just forgot to come out today. It just fell asleep. Every day. Nature. Observe nature. Spend time in nature. The trees, the oceans, the lakes, the cycles, the seasons. Observe. Trust. One of the things to truly move into a deeper dimension of surrender that I think we have to let go of, which is sometimes hard to let go of, is the constant need to know everything. The mind always needs to know. It needs to know what's going to happen. What's going to happen tomorrow? Let me check my astrologer. Let me speak to my astrologer. Let me speak to my psychic. Let me figure everything out. We're constantly in the mind trying to figure everything out. There's some moments where finally thought you figured out what this was and what this wasn't. And then have you ever had an experience when it turned out to be exactly the opposite? Maybe it didn't go according to plan. See, the mind's capacity to figure things out can be a great limitation. I'm not saying there's not a place for it, but the mind's capacity to figure things out is limited because the mind that is figuring it out is itself limited. So when an event happens, experience happens, a situation arises, we now project and try to figure that out through the lens of interpretation from our ego, which is conditioned and programmed. So our ability and our perceptual filtering ability to see what something is limited by our conditioning and the level of our consciousness. So what we think something is going to be and what we project something is and what it means often is not what it means. So reality is not really reality. Reality is our interpretation of our reality based on our consciousness, our conditioning, our state of our nervous system, and our ability to perceive. And so I would just say, just because you think something is a certain way doesn't mean it's so. And just because you think something is a certain way, you've come to a certain conclusion, don't get so attached to what the meanings that you've made something to me. Be mindful of that. Well, cool, this is what it means, and this is what it is, and this is who it is, and this is what and I'm not enough, and I'm not this. Don't be so sure about what you think something means because the interpretation of what you're making up about something may not be it. I had a client who many years ago would say, "Kute, I'm unworthy and I'm unlovable, and I have proof." What do you mean you have proof? I said to her, because my mother left me and my dad when I was 5, left us alone, ran away, and I got proof. She left, and if she loved me, she wouldn't have left. And this is what it means. I'm not lovable. And her entire life was one big unconscious effort to reinforce her unlovability in relationships. See, I'm right. Another guy left me. Another person left me. Another friend abandoned me. I'm just not lovable. We unconsciously make meaning from events that happen in our lives, often very young. We hold on to that meaning. We experience events that reinforce what that means, becomes our identity. And we think now that's who we are. I'm not lovable. So I asked her, are you sure about that? We have to be willing to be mindful and question our thoughts, because just because you have a thought doesn't mean it's true. Our beliefs, just because you have a belief doesn't mean it's true. So ask yourself, is it fact or is it fiction? Is this fact? Is it fiction? Be mindful. Many times we're just thinking unconsciously and thoughts are going. It's unconscious, 65,000 thoughts a day. So I asked my client, are you sure that that's true? Well, I'm sure because my mother left. So I asked her, could your mother leaving have meant something else? No. Really. Could it have meant something else? And she had to open up and say, yeah. What else could it mean? This key question. As you start observing your thoughts and observing your feelings and observing the meaning that you made up about things, and you start questioning, what else could this mean? Key question. What else could this mean? It could mean for this woman, maybe my mother loved me so much that she knew she couldn't take care of me. So she did the best thing she thought, which was to leave me with my father and grandparents before she damaged me. It could mean, so many other things, but it doesn't mean I'm unworthy. In fact, if you have a belief or a thought about yourself, question it. I'm not worthy, I'm unlovable, I'm unacceptable, I'm not enough as I am. Ask yourself, is it fact or is it fiction? Ask yourself, have you ever seen unworthy? Like, here's a phone, you can see a phone, but have you ever seen unworthy? Like, where is unworthy? We're often operating like the beliefs that we have about ourselves are real, are fact. Like this table, this phone, this chair, this wall, Okay, it's real, but where is unworthy? Where is that thought? Where is that belief? It's a perception based on an interpretation that we've made that we hold onto and identify with and tend to unconsciously create experiences in our life to reinforce that. Be aware, be mindful, question. Is it true? Is it fiction? Could it mean something else? We have to be willing to surrender, to let go and surrender these beliefs. The other thing I was saying was the willingness to let go of the need to constantly know everything. We've got to know everything. The degree of freedom you'll experience in your life is also in direct proportion with your ability to embrace the unknown. Your ability to embrace the unknown. And so if you're able to just feel, you don't have to know where you're going to get to exactly where you need to be. But there is a guiding force and an intelligence inside of you that knows everything, because at the deepest level, you are everything. You may not have that knowing on a conscious level. And so how do you surrender and what do you do? Go in the direction. Life has an energy. If you become still and feel and attune, life has an energy, life has a flow, life has a pull that's beyond you. Your mind might want to do this. Your mind might want to go there. But if you really attune yourself, you will feel the energy of where life is moving. Go in that direction. But where does it go? You don't have to know. You don't have to figure it out. Mind's capacity to figure things out is limited based on your past conditioning. Trust. Go in that direction. Life will lead you. And this is surrender. The willingness to allow life to lead you. When you allow life to lead you versus you leading life, you're not limited to the past. You're not limited to what something can be. That moment, you are living unlimitedness, because there's no I that is projecting what can be based on the past. No past projecting onto your present or your future. Wide open space of possibilities. Magic. And so allowing life to lead you, the key for that is to live with curiosity. Curiosity is a key quality in the process of your own surrender experience. Living in a state of curiosity. What could this mean? What's possible? What's the opportunity now? What's available? What better thing could be seeking to happen? And being curious. Don't be so sure. Whenever you find yourself really sure, this is what it means, watch out. Don't be so sure what you think something means. Step back. The moment you feel yourself getting so attached, or if you feel yourself getting triggered, reactive, step back, and go, okay, breathe, tune into your body, breathe. And you might see, what am I getting so sure about? Getting so attached to? Observe, question, no judgment. As you step back, curiosity. Living curiously, living innocently. That's to truly live in the now. Power of now isn't just being the now, being the now, being the now. That's just minding and willing yourself into the now, but you're still not in the now because you're really thinking you should be in the now, but you're not really fully in the now. Truly being in the now. Not imposing a preconceived idea of what you think should be or shouldn't be into this moment and fully receive and experience the moment, allowing the moment to show itself to you. When you live that way, you live in flow. Because sometimes what you think the goal is for your life or relationship, what you think something should be is not really always what it is. Sometimes the goal that you think you're moving to is simply the necessary puzzle piece that your soul needs to journey through to learn and grow and become who you need to be, to then pivot you and move you over here. So surrender doesn't mean being lazy. Surrender doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing. Going in a direction of what you most authentically feel called without getting attached to the idea, without getting attached to the outcome, giving 100%, giving everything you've got without being attached, giving everything you've got while being open. Life shown me is to live innocent, to be innocent. Then there's no limits. There's no limits to what can unfold. What do you need to surrender? Surrender is the most powerful thing you can do. It's the key to your greatness, the key to manifestation. You can manifest life forcing and willing, but it will often end up leading to a limited life. To truly tap into the magic, if you want the magic, you've got to surrender. That's the password to freedom. Many of us, we want the magic, but no, I don't want to surrender. I want to meet the love of my life, but I'm going to wait before I let go of the relationship I'm in now that I know is not right. I'm going to wait until the love of my life shows up, then I'll let go. It doesn't work that way. Surrender is the password to freedom. And if you want the magic, you must surrender. I'm going to wrap up with a story. Send you on your way. Hope today's session's been inspiring in some way. But I want to wrap up with a story of how my parents met, because I think it's a real profound magic of surrender story. See, when my father's from Ghana, West Africa, my mother's Japanese. I was born in Ghana, grew up in London, kind of from everywhere. When my father was 8 years old, he would have these visions of a Japanese guru, kind of like a Yogananda of Japan, a man called Masaharu Taniguchi. Meditation, spiritual teacher, had millions of followers throughout Japan and parts of the world. 30s, I think 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, somewhere in that zone. When my father, in Ghana, West Africa, okay, in the 1930s and 40s, my father would have these visions of a Japanese guru, would come to him in his dreams and teach him about life, the mysteries. When my father was 15, became a Christian, started healing people. My first memories as a young boy in my childhood was seeing a crippled woman pick up the sand that my father walked on, wiped it on her face and stand up. Blind people seeing, deaf people hear. My father would look at a woman in a wheelchair and say, stand up, you're not sick. This was my father. He built 300 churches in Ghana, West Africa, a huge church in London, 4,000 or 5,000 people every Sunday. I grew up in this environment. So when my father was 15, he started healing people. His churches exploded. When he was 37, he had 300 churches, mega, hundreds of thousands of followers. His first wife died, had 3 kids. First wife has died. He goes to a store in Ghana. A book falls off the shelf. He looks at the back of the book. He's like, oh my God, this is the Japanese man that's been coming to me in my dreams. I didn't even know he was real. He's so excited. He writes to this Japanese man, Masaharu Taniguchi. This man is surprised because they had no, Instagram, Facebook, social media, computing. The man sends his son, basically his son-in-law, to Africa to meet my father. The guy is so impressed with my father, invites my father to Japan to go on a lecture tour with the guru, with the spiritual teacher. My father says before the son-in-law takes off back to Japan, says, look, I'm looking for a wife. Please pray for me. That was it. The son-in-law goes back to Japan, gives a lecture, announces to the congregation that this miracle man of Africa is coming to Japan to go on a lecture tour with the spiritual teacher. My mother's 28 at this time. The spiritual teacher is her spiritual teacher, her parents' spiritual teacher. She grew up in the spiritual organization. She's 28, in Japan, if you're not married by 22, 23, it's old. She's 28. She said a prayer. She says, God, I'll marry anyone you tell me to marry. Anyone you tell me to marry. Just please make it clear that this is my soulmate and my husband. Make it clear. She's in the audience. She hears about this African man. She feels chills in her body. Boom, this feeling, this energy. This is my husband. See, the key was she doesn't question. We're constantly questioning. Stop questioning the mind. Stop questioning. The mind's always questioning. She doesn't question. This is my husband. My father was in London at the time, preparing to go to Ghana, preparing to go to Japan, in transit for a few weeks or months, I think it was. He's meditating. In his meditation, he has this feeling your wife's going to show up. He goes to the mailbox the next day. There's a letter from my mother from Japan. He before he opens it, he says, I have a feeling this is my wife. He writes to indeed, it's my wife. Nothing romantic, just says, by the way, my mother doesn't speak any English. My father speaks no Japanese. He writes to my mother and says, would you be open to moving to Ghana? She writes back to a translator, yes, I would be open to moving to Ghana if it's God's will. He writes back and says, it's God's will, marry me. They agree to get married. They haven't seen each other. My father goes to Japan, goes on a lecture tour, gives the lecture tour, meets my mother for the first time. They have 45 minutes alone in a park by themselves. They agree to get married. My father has no money by Japanese standards to throw a wedding. You can't throw a wedding as a foreigner in the 70s, an African guy. He says, okay, trust the process of life. He goes on a lecture tour, tells no one he doesn't have the money for the wedding. The wedding plans are being made. He goes to his mailbox. 7 weeks later, there's an envelope, anonymous envelope, no name. All it says, a note, this is for your wedding. $7,000 in cash. No, this is for your wedding. They got married. And long story short, here I am. Surrender. What life is seeking to do through you is more than what you can do on your own. When you surrender, you tap into true greatness. It's a greatness that's not yours. It's life's. It's the same greatness that flowed through Jesus, Buddha, Gandhi, Bruce Lee, Mother Teresa, Muhammad Ali, you name it, Mandela. It's the same greatness because of the greatness of life. Get yourself out of the way and see what happens, my friends. So I leave you with this prayer. Or shall we say an intention setting simple process. These days, I don't pray for anything. I don't meditate for a specific intention. My prayer, and I say prayer lightly because it's not a religious thing, is simply this. Here it is. Here's the secret. Universe, I ask for the highest good. I ask for the highest good to be made manifest in this situation. I ask for the highest good to be made manifest in this relationship. I ask for the highest good to be made manifest in my life. See, when you invoke, when you invite, when you intend the highest good, now you're in a zone of no limits. I want this, I want that, I want this. My soulmate's got to be 6'2", 2'1", white, black, Filipino, go to Harvard. All these limitations. Feel what you want, feel what's in your heart, feel the experience and say, universe, I invoke the highest good. When you invoke the highest good, you take all limits off of life, and that's when the fullness of life can be manifest in your life as yourself, and life can manifest itself as itself through you. That's the magic. And so, friends, if you want the magic, you got to surrender. Hope you're ready. Hope you're excited. As we wrap up, folks, it's been such an honor and a privilege to connect with you today. Mindfulness and Compassion Week, an amazing event. I trust you've had an amazing week, amazing few days. It's a privilege to be on with so many amazing, esteemed people. I trust you're inspired. Make sure you apply everything you've been learning today. For those of you that would love to connect more with my work, my new book, The Magic of Surrender, will help take you deeper into these subjects. You can find it on Amazon or www.themagicofsurrender.com. My main website, kuteblackson.com. If you feel ready to go maybe deeper, a deeper dive, I do a 12-day event in Bali, www.boundlessblissbali.com. Check it out. Also, I'm reachable Instagram and Facebook. Such a pleasure, such an honor, sending you much love. Letting go leads to more. Peace.